The proclamation rang through the grand chamber of the Silurian palace as the alien king voiced the decree that stunned every soul present. His voice echoed like rolling thunder across silver walls and glimmering crystalline pillars. He had decided that his daughters, the future bearers of their ancient line, would be wed to a human. The reason was kept hidden at first, wrapped in secrets older than their empire. But the order was absolute. The princesses stood on the elevated steps beneath the glowing emblem of their house. Their faces carried disbelief, confusion, and a fire that none of them attempted to hide from their father. Each princess had lived her life within a civilization that ruled dozens of worlds and prided itself on being superior in body and mind. Yet now they were told that their paths would be tied to a being from a race that only recently had stepped onto the galactic stage. The human chosen for this decree arrived under heavy escort. His name was Aiden, a soldier who had fought in several skirmishes during the early days of humanity's expansion. He had been known not for violence, but for bravery, for a fierce loyalty to his allies, and for a stubborn belief that even the mightiest empire could be questioned through honesty. The Silurian envoys had watched him for months and whispered of his potential. Though no one on Earth understood why he had been summoned, Aiden entered the chamber with calm steps. He had been told only that he was being received by a powerful ruler for an alliance discussion. He had not expected a hall of towering pillars, faintly glowing floors, or beings whose presence seemed to bend the very air. He also had not expected to see the three princesses watching him with a mix of curiosity, irritation, and something that looked like challenge. The king spoke again, explaining that the Silurian line faced a crisis. Centuries of controlled genetics and perfected bloodlines had produced elegance, strength, and intellect, but it had also created a vulnerability. Their people had begun losing the spark that once guided their instincts. Their visions of the future had dimmed. Their immunity to ancient diseases had weakened. A new bloodline was needed to revive the fire that once shaped their empire. The ancient texts had spoken of a moment when their destiny would intertwine with a race from the outer spiral. That race was humanity, despite being seen as young and reckless. Humans carried within them a resilience that defied calculation, a force that could ignite dormant potential in others. Aiden listened quietly as the weight of the decree settled over him. He had no intention of marrying anyone, especially not three alien princesses he had just met. Yet he recognized the desperation in the king's tone. He understood duty, sacrifice, and impossible choices. He had lived through battles where surrender meant extinction, so he responded with the clarity of a soldier. He said that he would hear the voice of each princess before giving an answer. The king allowed this, though many in the court murmured in shock. The eldest princess, Leora, approached first. She carried herself with regal precision and eyes like twin shards of frozen light. She questioned Aiden about his world, his values, and his loyalty. She tried to gauge if he was someone who could shoulder the burden of a throne. Aiden answered honestly, explaining that he did not desire power, but believed in responsibility and protection. Leora listened with more interest than she expected. She had imagined a human to be impulsive, loud, and unrefined, yet Aiden revealed a grounded calm that intrigued her. The second princess, Nira, stepped forward next. Unlike her sister, Nira's spirit burned bright. She moved with swift grace and a spark of rebellion. She challenged Aiden with direct questions about conflict, battle, and loss. She demanded to know if he feared the Silurian throne or the weight of a bond that carried cosmic implications. Aiden met her fire with steady resolve. He spoke of hardships he had endured, comrades he had lost, and the way he still chose to stand despite grief. Nira recognized that kind of strength and saw him as someone who would not be controlled, but also would not abandon those who relied on him. The youngest princess, Alira, approached last. She was quieter than her sisters, her voice soft but clear. She asked Aiden about dreams, Not political dreams, not military visions. She asked about what he hoped for in a distant future. Aiden paused before answering, then admitted that he dreamed of peace, of exploring the unknown without needing to raise a weapon at every turn. Alira smiled gently at that. She too dreamed of such a future, though her own people had long forgotten how to speak of it. The king watched all three encounters with a look that held more depth than he showed. He then summoned Aiden to stand before him. He reminded the soldier that the Silurian throne did not force love nor demand blind obedience. Instead, it required partnership and the merging of destinies. Aiden did not immediately accept. He asked for time to understand the truth behind their need. The king granted him 3 days to walk the palace, observe the Silurian world, and speak with whoever he wished. During those days, Aiden witnessed wonders that no human had imagined. Floating gardens built on streams of light, libraries holding histories carved in living crystal, training arenas where warriors moved like flowing energy. He listened to the people. He learned how their strength had once shaped entire star systems. He also learned how fear of losing their legacy now hung over them like a quiet shadow. The princesses joined him at times. Leora showed him the halls of leadership and revealed the pressures of all. The crown Nera demonstrated their advanced combat systems and teased him when he tried to imitate their swift movements. Alira guided him through quiet sanctuaries where Silurians meditated to sense the life currents within the galaxy, though different in nature. Each princess revealed a piece of their world and a part of themselves. Aiden began to understand that they were not seeking a husband for tradition, but a partner who could help restore balance to their people's future. On the 4th day, Aiden returned to the grand chamber. The king awaited him, surrounded by silent advisors. The moment felt heavy, but Aiden did not tremble. He declared that he would accept the bond, not out of obligation, not out of fear, but because he had seen the sincerity of the princesses and the desperation of a people facing slow decline. He believed that unity between their races could forge something stronger than either had known. The chamber filled with a wave of disbelief, followed by a hum of approval from the elders. The king rose and acknowledged Aiden's courage. He also warned him that the bond would be challenging, not simply a union of individuals, but a merging of destinies that would ripple across galaxies. Preparations began across the Silurian capital. Every corridor shimmered with colors that represented joining teams of artisans fashioned attire for Aiden, made from threads that responded to energy patterns. The princesses prepared according to tradition, though each reacted in her own way. They shared the awareness that this union might define a new era. On the night of the ceremony, the palace opened its gates to visitors from distant systems. They gathered to witness a moment that would shift political landscapes and reshape alliances. Aiden stood before the king and the princesses. He placed his hands over a crystal sphere that connected their life signatures. When the sphere glowed, it meant that the bond had accepted him. The light rose slowly, revealing that the match between human resilience and Silurian lineage was compatible. The crowd responded with awe. The king declared that their fates were now intertwined and that the future of both species would follow their choices. But the story did not end with celebration. Aiden soon learned that not all Silurians agreed with the decree. A faction within the empire believed that humans were unworthy and that blending their bloodlines would corrupt the throne. These dissenters began to plot in shadows, preparing to undermine the union. Aiden faced his first challenge as bonded partner when an explosion rocked a portion of the palace. During a diplomatic gathering, the blast was controlled but symbolic, a message from those who rejected the alliance. Aiden reacted instantly, helping shield civilians as Leora commanded. The palace guard Nera leapt into action with fierce precision, hunting down hidden threats. Alira used her calming presence to stabilize frightened citizens. The event pushed the royal family into a state of alert. The king ordered an investigation, and the princesses vowed to stand with Aiden against those who wished harm. Aiden realized that he had become more than an invited outsider. He had become a symbol, a bridge, and a target. Weeks passed as he integrated deeper into Silurian life. He trained with their warriors to understand their techniques and taught them strategies he had learned on Earth. He spent time with each princess, learning how they saw the world and how their strengths could complement his own. He grew more connected to their people, and slowly he became part of their rhythm. The dissenting faction soon made a more aggressive attempt. They hijacked a cargo vessel and tried to crash it into one of the palace towers. Aiden noticed a shift in the flight pattern and alerted the defense crew, together with the princesses. He devised a quick plan. Near coordinated fighters to redirect the vessel. Leora used her authority to override docking controls. Alira reached out to the frightened workers inside the vessel through the comms, guiding them to safety. The crisis was resolved without casualties. Aiden's actions proved that he was not a reluctant participant, but a true ally. The Silurian citizens began to respect him. Some even embraced the idea that the Union